All right, what I'm about to do, well, I was friends with Brent for a couple years before we got into something called slam poetry. And I always kind of took the poetry aspect of that, and Brent always kind of took the slam. Jacob told a great story the other day, and we'd have poetry slams downstairs in Blue Sky, and that's where, you know, several poets would get up and judges would judge and things like this. And because most of the poets use something like the slam meter, which is what my poem is in today, because it would piss him off. You know, all their poems ended up sounding kind of the same. And Brent's works never sounded the same. Brent's works were always much more powerful, much more visceral. If you just listen inside, you know what I'm talking about. And he always chose, like, all the poets would want to go last, because since all their poems sounded the same, they wanted to be, you know, the last thing the judges remembered. Brent always asked to go first, because after he was there, nobody really heard anything else. And when we started doing recordings of the poetry, when we started talking about getting Athens a slam team and going and visiting the competitions all over the Southeast, I was kind of shocked that Brent was one of the most dedicated to that. He was a phenomenal presence on stage. He meant a lot. There are so many things in my life that I do because I know Brent Adams. And it's been years, but I've got a little something. When I heard the news, I knew Brent long enough to go through some of the dark times, but I couldn't remember any of those off the top of my head. All I could remember were the good times. And so that's what this is about. This poem's called Dammit Brent, because when we would record, I would have my headphones on and be working the board, and Brent would have the microphone. And every once in a while, he'd be doing his thing, and he'd feel he'd messed it up and didn't want to keep that take, and so he'd go, and like, all the red lights would come on, and my eardrums would shatter, and I'm just like, damn it, Brent! You know I'm nervy, dude! Come on! So, I wrote this for him. It's called Dammit Brent. I remember laughter, talking shit about the poets even as you wrote poetry and prose, spiking out the levels roaring, darkened tones into the microphone in a makeshift Promised Land recording studio. After that Birmingham slam where you played the hero because they couldn't figure out what else to do with you. Well, I know I'm doing this in a style you couldn't stand, that tired, cliched meter of slam. You never used it. You never had to. I remember laughter, Georgia homecoming one year, me with an extra ticket, you in black, roaring at a football game against 90,000 people. You were the loudest one there. All the adults were terrified. But none of the children were scared. Back then I couldn't figure out what that meant, but I've worn black to every football game since. I remember laughter most of the time, even when laughing so hard I couldn't drive, pulling off Atlanta interstates with tears in everyone's eyes because you got the new Rollins CD. Adding your own commentary. Very, very, very loudly. From the back seat. Or when you had to explain the birds and the bees and rug burn to a roommate and his mother under fake dreadlocks then and scabbed over knees, never breaking away from Rasta voice or character in the middle of the day. I remember laughter, and that's the thing I want to keep, because sometimes this road is only uphill, sometimes the climb is only steep. A moment of joy is less like breathing, something more like coming up for air, marks those times like treasures in the mind. I'm glad you thought to share. To me, you're still a hero, because I'll never figure out what else to do with you.